Welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast, your one-stop shop for television, movie, video games, comic books, book reviews, and more. Now, without further ado, here's Steven and Mike.
Happy day, everybody. Hey, welcome to the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. I am your co-host, Mr. Stephen Boster, along with my illustrious co-host, Mr. Mike Shanks. Mike, say hey to everybody.
Good morning to all you geeks out there in Geekdom land.
Welcome, 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 everyone. Today is an interesting day because we got a shout out from someone on Facebook who had asked if I had watched a movie, and we are going to talk about that today. But not just Mike and I, but with a special, the one, the only, Mr. Aaron McCoy is with us in the house.
Yay. Hey, good to be here. Very, very excited to be here. I love it. Love it every time. Get my that geek scratch itch really well there. Fun time.
Well, hey, everybody, if this is your first time listening, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us. Aaron, just so people know where you're from or what you do, if you just want to say where people can find you on the wonderful internet, where would that be?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel and Facebook channel called Geek with the Bible. If you hit Facebook, that's really a lot more of the geek side of it. I am constantly posting memes, creating memes, scouring the web for top quality comedy to throw your way, mixed in with some inspiration, mixed with some thought-provoking ideas out there, but just a bit of everything. And then I've got my YouTube channel, Geek with the Bible, which I haven't done for a while. I've been focusing a lot more on writing. I'm really interested. I want to eventually get into like speaking and you know things like that. And writing, as I said, but that's gonna be going back on real soon. I'm kind of stockpiling, so it should be. I think Friday I'm gonna start it back up again. I'm going through the Book of Galatians, so just kind of read a little, talk a little, and I think as I go on, I'm gonna try to get more of the geek content as well. Of like taking stories and trying to find the spiritual content within it. That's in the future. That's coming up as well. But,
very cool. Well, we are glad to have you here. Now, some people may be listening, well, why is Aaron on the show? Because we got that challenge. Mike, who was it that shot that out on Facebook that asked if I had seen this yet?
Libby Cox had asked if you had seen it or not. Listener,
right
Libby.
on. Shout out to Libby. Thanks for the challenge.
Thanks, Libby.
Thank you. So
actually, I had been bugging you to watch this movie for a while, and you were
that's
kind
true.
of like,
it took a listener to get it done.
I don't want to watch that movie.
Yeah. So here's the lesson for everybody. If you're listening and you want us to do something, I'm more apt to listen to a Facebook or one of our listeners than I am Mike. Did you guys catch that? He's been after me to watch this movie, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to or not.
Well, it took a listener and Aaron, because Aaron's that's like, true. You guys do Joker. I want to be a part of it. So
I'm on.
So yeah.
Yes, I'm a huge Joker fan, and I was just telling you guys earlier. So I'm a English teacher by trade, and for my final project, you have to take some literary concept, which my concept was humor. So we had a whole class learning about comedy, seeing about the history of comedy and literature and all these different aspects of it. And you had to, and so half of your grade, 50% of your grade was based on one huge topic. And so I decided, let's do Joker. So I spent that whole semester just digging as deep as I can into the psyche of Joker, into the history, into the philosophy. So like, I studied a lot of like Friedrich Nietzsche and Albert Camus and Sartre, existentialists and all these things, and getting into the, studying evil, all these biblical references and things. And I went deep into the character, and it's just a well that never runs dry of intrigue. So I am always excited to talk about Joker. If anybody out there has a podcast and you want to talk about Joker, reach out to me.
Right.
And I'll do this again. I can do this all day.
Well,
right on.
I got to say, being the big Batman fan that I am, I think Joker's probably my favorite bad guy. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down. He is... Mm-hmm. He is maniacal. He is, just insane. He's interesting. There's so many aspects to the Joker. I really love the character. So
now, I don't think he's insane, actually.
Ooh.
There is a, so sometimes. Because in one of the comics, Arkham Asylum, there was a psychologist who actually said, we think he's actually a form of super sanity, that he actually looks at the world of how broken and random and chaotic it is, and he reinvents himself daily to meet just the extremeness of life. And so he's actually responding to the meaninglessness and the chaos the way that a normal person probably should. But we're actually human. We actually have a conscience. We actually have something that, we like to get along with people. So that kind of prevents us from actually behaving the way that the Joker does.
Very fascinating. Okay. Well, okay, everybody, as you can tell, we're going to get deep.
But I agree. Greatest villain.
Definitely.
So Mike, your favorite villain. Aaron, you're totally into this because of you've researched it and enjoy it. So let me give you my thoughts about this movie first.
Well, how about just Joker? Well, first off, Joker overall. Would you say you're a fan of Joker just in general?
Which one? I enjoy like Mark Hamill's Joker.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who doesn't?
Yeah. So that one is I really enjoy it. I wanted to get into the New 52, the Court of Owls story. And while there, or once I was there and I started looking at some of the other New 52 and introduced the new Joker, I did not like that Joker. Even though he was brilliant, even though it was really interesting how they did it. It was a little messed up. It was really weird. The whole thing with getting his face cut off and then attaching it back on and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I had a little issue with. I didn't read that whole storyline, but when I heard about the whole cutting your face off, I'm like, that's just. I know Joker is.
I think it was someone else. I didn't really get into the storyline because I was like, it just wasn't interested because. Aaron, I think I agree with you in the aspect that, or what some were saying about him being super sane. I just think he is brilliant. I think he's one of those criminal mastermind kind of guys. And I saw that New 52 Joker as being more maniacal, more crazy. And that's not that's not my Joker, kind of a thing. And so that's kind of how I felt about it. So I enjoy it. My favorite is Mark Hamill's Joker. And that's the same Joker that not only that we see in the animated series, we see him in the Arkham games. And so I'll say that's my favorite Joker, Mark Hamill.
Yeah, well, which I would agree. I mean, each person brings their. Well, I would say that Mark Hamill is definitely the most definitive Joker. Mm-hmm. So if you think of like a real, you talk about like a doggy dog. You think about like what's a dog. You think of like a lab. Not Chihuahua or Snoop Dogg. You think of a real dog, like the most core, or a birdie bird. It's like a robin. I would say the same thing. Joker. If you say what is the the core essence of Joker, like a sun that all the Jokers, the other planetary Jokers revolve around. Yeah, Joker is certainly like the most definitive version of Joker. So I'm sorry, Mark Hamill's Joker. Yes, his is primary. Yes,
I think Mark Hamill's Joker is so good because Mark Hamill pulled from, he pulled a little bit from the original Joker from the 66 Batman.
Cesar Romero.
Thank you, Cesar Romero. He pulled from the 89 Joker, Jack Nicholson, which I absolutely love Jack Nicholson.
Oh, yeah. He's great.
And he pulled aspects from the comic books. He just pulled from everywhere.
He also pulls from Frank Gorshin. If you actually listen to some of his cadence, the way that he talks.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And Frank Gorshin
does this thing where he builds up and,
Yeah. Yeah, and Frank Gorshin played the original Riddler, and just in case anyone didn't realize that. You're absolutely right. He does. That's a good call there.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's incredible because he was also he was doing the play of Amistad. Wait, is that it? The not Amistad, Amadeus. Amadeus is what I meant. And and so he had this cackle laugh.
You sang the song there a little bit. Did you catch that? Amadeus, 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 Amadeus.
I do love that song, by the way. I haven't heard that in years.
Very old, very old. But he would always play with laughs every night. He said to keep himself interested. He would always try to do some different crazy laugh, and he said that was like this great training ground for coming up with all these maniacal laughs and all of these.
Awesome. That's very interesting. That's cool. So yeah, I will say that the other aspect of with how shall I say favorite Jokers would be specifically that would be movie wise is Heath Ledger.
Yeah,
Heath Ledger's Joker was pretty cool, and so I'm waiting. All of a sudden, I think we lost Mr. Mike. Is he frozen on your screen?
I think
we
so.
Lost Mike.
Oh no! Come back to us.
This is the first time. I think he's been having computer issues and stuff. All right. Okay, everybody. Sorry about that little blip there. We had some technical difficulties. And so now we are back to talk more Joker action. Okay, so
I think the Joker attacked us.
Maybe. All right. We were talking about the different Jokers that we like and dislike and that kind of thing before we get into the film itself. Because, Aaron, I thought that was interesting on your part when you brought that up, because that is true. Because what is our baseline? What is our opinion that we're coming from as far as dealing with the Joker or talking about the Joker? So I appreciate you asking that. Thank you. Before we get into the movie, because yes, I think for me it does reflect in that. So I was discussing movie-wise who I thought my favorite Joker was. So I talked about favorite Joker being Mark Hamill, but movie-wise, my favorite Joker is Heath Ledger, and I think that's where we were at.
Yeah,
and I thought his portrayal was masterful as far as film goes. I think he for me personally is the best rendition of the Joker, because it's not the maniacal, it's the he's super smart kind of a thing. And sees things in a way that just normal, I don't know, the rest of us, don't view, kind of the thing. So I thought he did a fabulous job with the role. Just incredible job. And that was, which one? That was the second one. That was Batman.
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Dark Knight. Yes. Thank you.
And I rewatched The Dark Knight this week. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, out of the Dark Knight series, that is definitely the best of the three.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah. I love Heath Ledger's performance. It's super hard for me to pick a favorite, but as far as the films go, my favorite falls in between Jack Nicholson and Heath Ledger because, first of all, Jack, whatever. Oh, come on, Jack is a Hollywood legend. Okay, Jack Nicholson is the best. Sorry.
Well, he definitely has more of the zaniness that like Mark Hamill has.
When I say best, I'm not necessarily saying he's the best Joker. I'm saying he's the best actor. Period. Hands down.
The one criticism I've heard some people say about his Joker, which actually, so I rewatched it actually with my son. We rewatched our 89, and some people I've heard with Jack Nicholson's Joker is that it's just Jack Nicholson. It's just him with a smile.
Every part Jack plays is Jack Nicholson.
Well, but think about you see Heath Ledger. Yes. Do you see Heath Ledger in that Joker at all?
I'll be honest. I really haven't watched many Heath Ledger films other than The Dark Knight.
I love Knight's Tale. Knight's
Tale. See, I didn't like Knight's Tale.
Did you see The Patriot?
Yeah, I did.
Have you listened to The Patriot too? Yes.
Okay.
So I would say you're right because I'll be honest with you. I didn't even see Heath Ledger at all in Dark Knight.
No.
I was like, that's Heath Ledger? Really? Yeah. Kind of a thing. So good point.
But I agree. Heath Ledger was amazing. I loved him. Yeah. He was fantastic. And as far as Joaquin Phoenix's performance goes, I think Joaquin Phoenix I think he hit it out of the park. I really do.
Are we getting into this now? Are we getting into the movie now? Are we transitioning?
Well,
I think that's...
Go ahead.
Because I'm going to drop a bomb. I'm just saying.
Steven doesn't like this movie.
Hey, that makes for good entertainment. That's all right.
Well, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Are we transitioning? I'm ready to roll. Are we ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do this.
I hated this movie. I did not like it, but it is a brilliant film.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's a brilliant film. Joaquin's acting is phenomenal.
Yes.
How many more syllables can I get in there? Because it was just incredible. Story wise, I get it. It just, I should say I hate it. I didn't like it at all. And the only reason is, and I'm not saying it's a bad movie. That's not my point.
Yes.
It's dark. It is really dark, and I know that's what they were going for. It's just not my kind of movie. We've talked about movies where I don't like it where the good guy doesn't win. I mean, there's some good movies and the good guy doesn't win, and I don't like them at all. Period.
Yeah.
Well, and there is no good guy in this movie.
Not a one.
There's not a one.
No.
Maybe the little guy. But that's about it.
Well, I think realistically, from the philosophical point of view behind the film, that's the point. That's the hero. For if anything, we're giving there is a deeper level to this film. But so that's my overall. If you ask me to give our ratings, how we do our ratings, Mike, some kind of things, how many Joker gas pills am I talking about? As far as me liking the film, 1 out of 5. As far as the brilliance behind the film, it's 5 out of 5. I watched half of it. I had to step away from it, and then I watched the other half later. 2 days later, and seeing how everything came together and how it, I get it. I understand what they were going for, but Joaquin's performance was just out of the park.
Agreed.
Okay, there's my I did not like it at all, but it was a brilliant film.
Okay. I like the movie. I think the movie is a brilliant film, just like you said. And I, as a movie, I agree. I would give it a high score. I would say this is probably a 4.5 Joker gas pills as a movie. The Joker character, this is not my Joker. He's
once again, hashtag not my Joker.
Hashtag not my Joker. He's just not my Joker. Was Joaquin great? Yes, Joaquin was fantastic. But when I look at this Joker, I don't see the Joker per se. I think honestly, you could have taken the Joker title off this movie, taken the makeup off of him, and it still would have been a fantastic movie. It really would. But as far as being the character, the Joker, I didn't feel he was the Joker. Now they had some great things that they did in this movie. Like I love what they did with the laugh. And the reason they gave behind the laugh, I thought that was fantastic. It was great. Right. Something we'd never seen before. But other than that, I just didn't feel he was the Joker. So,
well, because that was even some of the idea behind it. Because the director wanted to, which it's funny because he's normally known for doing comedies like The Hangover and stuff like that. And he's like, I want to do.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I've seen The Hangover. Yeah, I have seen The Hangover.
Hangover, Old School, Road Trip, and he's like, I want to do one of these classic like Martin Scorsese '70s, early '80s crime films, but it's like nobody finances those anymore. Nobody makes those. So then his thought was, well, what if I made a film like that? But what if it just happened to be the Joker? So yeah, and actually, and I do like that it's kind of, it is very different in the same way that Heath Ledger's Joker was a major departure from what you think of with Joker.
Oh, agreed.
As to where you get something like, what's his name? The Suicide Squad Joker, where
Jared Leto.
He kind of tried to tap into some of the past Jokers, but with a new twist, and it just fell on its face. It was very poor. I mean, there's a few things that I like about his Joker. I also like the fact now with Justice League, I think that those terrible tattoos were actually fake.
Good point.
So just think, because at first I'm like, okay, these are ridiculous tattoos, damage. Oh, now we see that he's damaged and all this crazy stuff. But then realizing, wait a minute, no, that was fake. He was trying to mess with these people. He's kind of trying to get into that culture. And just that it's all part of the act like that. I don't know. That makes it a little.
The only tattoo he had that I liked was the one on the hand.
Sure.
He put it over his face and he had the smile. That was the only one I liked.
Yeah. Which I've actually met people who got that.
Wow.
Yes.
That's some dedication there.
Yes.
Well, Aaron, I appreciate you saying that, because that's interesting. How do we say it's kind of our new term lately has been head canon. How you fill in the gaps on some of the canon. You like what you like, and and that makes more sense to me, because if you ask me which Joker I do not like, I like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker better than Jared Leto's.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
But now that you mention that, what if it was all fake and it was all part of an act? That would be the brilliancy behind Joker.
Yeah.
But see, even
interesting. I like that.
Even in Zack Snyder's Justice League, that scene with the Joker and Batman, I still wasn't keen on that scene that much. I mean, I agree with you. I like the fact that they removed the tattoos, because I hated the tattoos. I'm not saying anything about tattoos. I have my own tattoo. I want more, but I'm not saying anything bad about tattoos. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it fits that character. I don't like it. Sure. But I was not big on that scene and Batman and Joker cursing each other and making there was some other references in there that I was like, this, I don't know. I don't like this. I just,
Right. Well, let me come back to Aaron. What was your impression of the film overall?
Oh, I mean, like
Joker.
It's amazing film. It was definitely one of those things you felt like you needed to take a shower afterwards. Like,
that's so true.
That's a great statement.
Yeah, it's so like, I mean, it does something to you. Like I remember after the movie, everyone in the theater just kind of sitting there like, what?
Yeah, I saw this in the theater originally, and I walked out. I'm like, wow, I don't know if I like this or not.
Yeah. It affects you.
Yeah.
It definitely affects you. But you can say, okay, do I like that it affected me? What does it all mean? What's the, all these different things with that. And so that's why, like Steven, like I completely respect your opinion on that. I mean, that makes sense. That it's just like I don't like griminess. I don't like all
griminess.
Of that.
Great word, griminess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now there's certainly some key Joker things that are missing. But I think it's because this is episode 1, that this is kind of the Jake Lloyd of Jokers at the moment. It's like he's got some time to develop into the full-blown Joker.
Jake Lloyd of Joker.
So a much better actor. Please don't think of Joker going yippee now. But
hey, no. To be fair to Jake, that was under George Lucas's direction. You got to give Jake a little leeway. He was only 9 years old or whatever.
Watch the on the DVD of episode 1. There's a documentary called The Beginning. One of the best behind the scenes things I've ever seen of any movie. You see the screen test and you see the other kid it could have gone to. But anyways,
I've watched that, but it's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah,
all right, we're talking Joker. We're talking Joker.
Yes. Back.
We diverged to Star Wars, which tends to happen on this show.
It does, but that's all right. So there's certainly things missing, like as we said, sort of the brilliance and the intelligence of the Joker. It's really not here.
I agree. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it is a different Joker. Yes.
Now it can get there because, like, if you think of something like The Killing Joke, I mean, you see the guy who became the Joker. He was, very similar to Arthur Fleck. That he was just this, struggling comedian who wasn't really succeeding at life. Things were really rough on him. But then you can see like, oh, okay, I get how he eventually becomes this Joker. Which in some ways, because I know they're talking about doing sequels to this film, which I've got mixed feelings on, because in some ways it works really well as just a one-off, but also I'm kind of interested to see, well, how does this Joker then develop into more of the mastermind that we all, because I mean, I think everybody here said one of the things we love about the Joker is how brilliant he actually is. It's sort of like, because I know there's some people with autism that like, okay, well, one thing might not work quite as well, but then there's another part of the brain that just skyrockets and it's just, well beyond what a quote unquote normal person should have. And so Joker does have kind of that thing going on.
Well, and that's one of the things I thought was brilliant about this film was the aspect of the mental illnesses that were affecting him. Like I said earlier, I loved the explanation of his laugh. I mean, I wouldn't want to see that for every different type of Joker, but for this one,
this character,
it worked. It worked.
It did.
It was kind of like going back to Man of Steel. When we seen Clark growing up, and Clark all of a sudden started getting the
see-through,
the X-ray vision, and they were trying to come up for a reasoning of that, and they used that he might be autistic, and I thought that was a brilliant idea of Clark growing up. I was like, wow, that's a neat aspect to look at that we've never seen before. And I kind of looked at this explanation of his laugh the same way. I was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. Again, I wouldn't want to see it applied to Heath Ledger. I wouldn't want to see it applied to Jack Nicholson or Mark Hamill. But for the Joaquin Phoenix version, it works perfect. Great.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
Which I kind of want to rewatch it now. I start thinking about, I'm not sure if once he becomes Joker,
I was thinking that. Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he has the nervous laugh as much.
And you don't know, is he laughing because of the condition, or is he laughing because of he's transitioned or something?
Well, now that's a good point. Now he does laugh in the late night talk show scene. Because he starts laughing there.
Does.
Because they're all like, what is wrong with him?
Unless he's playing into it.
Well, yeah.
Because that's what they brought him on the show for, was because of the laughter.
That show, I think, was meant to be the pivotal point within the film when he he has transitioned.
Yeah.
He has done it. And now he's explaining how he got there. It was just, it was well done. And the laugh, let me stick with the laugh here for a second before I go into anything else. The laugh, Joaquin just did an incredible job. You knew the times where he was laughing and it was a condition because of his facial expressions.
Yep.
It's just incredible acting.
Yep.
Just his facial expressions, how they, switched at the end of the laugh kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the condition. That wasn't him laughing.
Like the scene on the subway.
Yes.
Yeah. When he kills the three,
Wall Street guys.
Wall Street guys. Thank you. Also the talk show scene that was ripped right out of Dark Knight Returns.
Absolutely.
Dark Knight Returns had a scene too where he went on a talk show because in the Dark Knight Returns, supposedly the Joker has been rehabilitated, and they bring him on this talk show to kind of reintroduce the Joker as a sane person, and he does almost the exact same thing. It was ripped right out of the Dark Knight Returns. So I did really like that. It's dark.
That's another great Joker performance as well. If you've seen the animated version of that.
Oh my gosh, the animated version of Dark Knight Returns is one of the closest animated films to the actual book. I was really, really impressed with that one. I love that one.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Okay, let me write that down. Steven's got to watch the Dark Knight animated.
I thought you had watched that one.
No, I started it. But just, life happens. So now it's going on the list. Isn't there a part 1 and part 2?
Yes. Or you can get a cut where it's just one big, 2.5 hour long.
Oh, I think it's on HBO Max.
Well, they sold it that way too. That was DC's way of making more money.
Yeah.
Let's face it. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So they took that right out of Dark Knight, that scene. Now, when he laughs in that, though, I questioned if it was actually the condition or if it was actually him.
Well, and sometimes there's also this forced laughter because it seems like there's times where he doesn't quite get the joke, like when he's at the comedy, the nightclub, and he'll laugh at something that's not even that funny, and then everyone else is laughing. He's kind of looking like, oh, this should be funny, and so there's almost a thing even there of not even fully understanding humor, and just trying to fit in.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot going on there.
His laughter was unique and interesting, and by the time we got to that transition thing, I was like, okay, this is different. This laugh is different. And I think he's learned to let himself go is probably not the right way to say that, but he switched his brain, how it processed. When he was sitting there talking to Murray, he was sitting there saying, he was, explaining, I'm like, okay. He's come to grips with something, whether we think it's right or wrong. He has accepted a new reality, a new how he's viewing the world, or he's coming to, and what the problems are. And I thought that spoke to, look around, look what's happening in our society. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. He has come to grips with, I was in pain before. It was almost like he was saying, how I view the world, how I was treated was painful, but now I've switched and I'm not in pain anymore. And you think it's terrible, but for me, it's not. Or that was an incredible moment, I think, for me, that I was like, whoa.
Or at that point, has he just decided to embrace the pain and use the pain?
That's interesting. I will say I do question. I think whatever happened when he was there on the show, not before. Because, remember how it was like he was going to commit suicide in front of everybody or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But something happened, and then that transitioning or that moment was happening while he was sitting in the chair next to Murray. And then it took full force when he took care of Murray.
Good point. I can see that. I can definitely see. And it is kind of a ramping up thing. And you see, whenever he's, in the car crash and he stands up and he does that blood smile and he's finally got the applause and the recognition that I've just been so desperate for and so longing for.
Now I got a question. Aaron, I got a question for you. Is that scene actually happening, or is that just happening in his head?
Oh, that's another good point. Thank you for bringing that up.
Because there were some scenes that it was like, well, wait a minute, did this actually really happen, or was he just imagining it?
So help us out, Aaron. Help us out.
There's 3 or 4 points of possibilities of realization. So one is that one theory is just that, if they don't specifically tell us this is imaginary, then it's real. So like, okay, yes, he didn't have a relationship with the one girl. He wasn't actually on Murray's talk show at the beginning when it, that's one way to read it. Another way to read it is that pretty much everything after he stops taking his medication, that pretty much everything within Joker is all in his head. So even if we look at the fact that the laugh stops and that now he gets all of this, praise and everybody loves him and all these things, well, that all happens after he stops taking this medication. So it's possible all that's in his head. So
let me make sure I'm following you on this number 2 point. You're saying that once he stops taking his medication, none of that is his imagination. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, none of it's real. It's all
none of it's real.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Even the scene on the talk show with Murray.
Yes, that's one theory. That's one big theory. Because think about it, they've got no police. They've got no. I mean, this guy who brings a full film crew into a random, nightclub to watch comics? Like, I mean, something going viral like that didn't happen in the late 70s.
Yeah, that 80s. Was. Well, I don't think that was a full film crew. I think what they're saying is somebody actually had a video camera. Which
think about cameras in the 80s.
Yeah, and that's true. Well, this isn't even the 80s. This is the 70s.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, this is late 70s.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. And that played in my head when Murray plays the scene, and I'm like, wait a minute, who would have been? It's not like today when everybody's got a cell phone and everybody, okay, we're gonna record this guy, and put it on Facebook. That you're right. That didn't happen. There was no such thing as things going viral back then. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even think about that. That could be
number 2. I don't like number 2. Go with number 3. Okay.
Number 3 is even worse. Number 3 is that there's literally like only 2 scenes of the movie that's real. So there's a part whenever the first time he's talking to his therapist, and she says, "Are you glad to be out, of the institution? Do you remember what you were there for?" The color changes. You get a bit more of a blue lighting, and you see him screaming, and then it goes back to the rest of the movie. And then we see the very end, you kind of get that same lighting. And so there's kind of a thought that almost the entire movie is in his head. And then he just finally snaps and, kills the girl and goes on his, rampage. And
yeah, I don't know if I like that idea.
Yeah. Well, so one thing, now for me, I believe the whole thing is where I land. The only thing that really makes me question that, if you
wait a minute, clarify what you mean by you believe the whole thing.
I think that almost all the movie actually happened. I prefer that,
and I think I'm with you on that. I still question the scenes towards the end where he's riding into the police station in the police car and the crash. Yeah, I do question whether that's real or not. But I think you're right. I think the scene with Murray's real, and of course we know for a fact that all the supposed girlfriend scenes are imaginary in his head.
Yes.
So, but I think I fall closer in line with you on that.
The only thing that makes me want to give the other ones any credit, every time that you see a clock, it's at the exact same time.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I mean
I'm not going back to watch that movie a second time.
Yeah. So, which I think that's the thing, though, because the first time I heard about this movie, I thought that's a terrible idea. Who wants an origin of the Joker? I mean, the whole idea is that this is a force of chaos that just is. That you don't want to have how did he become this way? You don't want any of that. But even in like Killing Joke, he says, sometimes I remember it one way, sometimes it's another. If I'm going to have a backstory, I want to make it multiple choice.
Which is the brilliance. It's the brilliance of that book is the fact that the Joker himself, we as readers don't know whether the Joker actually knows who he was before everything happened. You know, and I always love that about the Joker. I love his backstory being a mystery. And I know the 89, we gave him a definite background, which they borrowed from The Killing Joke, by the way.
Sure.
And I love it in that context. I think it's a great context. But when I think of the Joker overall, I love the aspect. And I love that about Heath Ledger's Joker, because he messes around with that. You want to know how I got these scars?
Yes.
You know, and he talks about his father cutting his, you know, and everything. And then he flips it.
Story was real, right?
He flips it with what's her face, and says that it was actually with his wife, and then he cut him himself. You know, so and you're sitting there going, okay, is either of these stories real? And to me, that's the Joker in a nutshell. Because you walk away going, I don't know if anything he's saying is true.
Yeah.
You know?
And so that's the same with the film. They made it to where you don't know if even the entire movie is just a big lie.
Wow.
So and they also, I also like how they had that his mother, he was adopted. So we also don't know what his origin is there as well. But yeah, I mean, that definitely fits in with the whole.
It was midi-chlorians, by the way.
I'm sure it was.
I'm not buying that theory at all, Stephen.
Now, one thing within that, because I know this is something a lot of people like about it, and they made it that way. It's an ink blot. It's something that you get the interpretation out of this film that you want to get out of it. There are certain things that they made it intentionally to be unreliable. But I wonder how that's going to play into any sequels that they might do, which I think they are planning on it.
Well, I think a sequel will end up solidifying one of these ideas in this film if we have a sequel. But I do like the fact that what you're saying here, how it's almost an ink blot. It's what you take from it, because this goes back to our interview with Karen Travis, where when Karen said that she had a reader ask her, well, who's the bad guy in your book? And Karen goes, I can't answer that. You have to decide that. You have to decide who the villain is. And like we said at the beginning of this podcast, technically there is no good guy in this film. There really isn't. No. Everything that happens in this film is bad. Even Thomas Wayne is not portrayed as a good guy in this film.
Not right.
Which I got to admit, I hate that. I really hate that. But
hey, that was not the Thomas Wayne. That's not my hashtag. Not my Thomas Wayne.
I do kind of like the idea of that, Bruce has kind of had this idealized version of his father, and that he's going off of the stories that Alfred had told him about being
I could go with that.
Great man and all of this. And that there was actually some stuff going on that you didn't know about. He wasn't quite the
squeaky
well,
clean.
Yeah, I get
doctor,
that.
Savior of the city.
I get that, but they just made him out to be an icky politician, and I didn't like that.
Agreed. I didn't particularly care for that either, right? Because by the time, when they had the whole riots, and then, then there's the origin of Bruce Wayne, or, becoming, the whole alley scene, I was like, yeah, Thomas had it coming to him.
Right.
I was like, that makes that, that's an interesting perspective.
And I don't like the age gap between the Joker and Bruce Wayne. I don't like that at all.
So that's an interesting question. And that's one theory that a lot of people have is that, so whenever you say this is not my Joker, some people would actually say,
I know where you're going with this.
This isn't the Joker.
Right. I've heard that.
Is a Joker.
Right.
And so as you see all the people who are putting on the clown mask and are enjoying the ideology and the philosophy and all that stuff, that somebody else falls into chemicals and becomes the Joker.
The Joker. I've heard that theory. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I don't know, because then it doesn't make the Joker's origin. I know we talked about the Joker not knowing his actual origin, and I enjoying that aspect of the Joker, but I don't know. I just I feel weird about that one.
Yeah.
Well, I think it boils down to expectations. When we go into something, you have a certain expectation. When I go into movies, I expect the good guy to win. When we did our recent top 5 Marvel movies, one of the things we talked about was Infinity War. We did not like the end of Infinity War. Why? Because the good guys did not win. So there's certain expectations. When I moved into Joker, I had already had the heads up that exactly what you're saying there. Is this the Joker or was it a Joker? And so I just kind of went with it and kind of a thing. And it was, what was the word? Griminess.
Grimy. Yeah. I like
used earlier. That I was like, yeah, but incredible acting. And yes, here is a guy who, at the end, I mean, he's doing Joker-esque stuff that you would have had in the comics, those kinds of things. So I don't know. I'm still on the fence as far as, is it a Joker kind of a thing? And I do struggle with the aspect of seeing a sequel for this film. The style of film it is, I don't know. And is he the right age to be the Joker?
Right.
I don't know. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Which I think just making it a parallel universe, I'm fine with that. That it's
multiverse.
Yeah.
Every episode, multiverse discussion.
Yeah. Which there's talks of, like, because I know that the director, he was kind of pushing of like, hey, let's do a lot of these kind of films, take different villains and see what their backstories are within this kind of,
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that too. That he might.
If this were 5, yeah. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I just was saying. I heard that the director had toyed with the idea of going through the Batman's Rogue Gallery, actually, and doing similar style films with different villains to the Batman. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I think this works pretty good with the Joker, but it may not work with every villain.
If this was 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh yeah, that sounds cool." Now, one, this is too grimy for me. But the main point is that Disney's been doing it with Maleficent. Now we've got Cruella recently, and I'm just kind of like, I like the concept of, hey, let's humanize a villain. I get that. I mean, that's been kind of a major trope in a lot of films and stuff. But I think Joker is really the only one you really could do that with. That's my opinion.
I kind of agree with you. And talking about a sequel. So when I came out of this film, when I saw it initially, my first thought was there can't be a sequel to this. Because I thought, one, I agree. I think this works great as a standalone film. I don't think it needs a sequel. But here's the reality. This movie made a ton of money. And we all know if it makes
Small
money.
budget.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's almost no special effects technically, So and I mean they had some big names, of course. That was probably the extent of their budget right there, was the big names in this film.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I kept looking at this Joker going, well, wait a minute. He's not the sinister mastermind that we're used to as the Joker. So how can this Joker take on a Batman? That was my big question walking out of this for a sequel. I'm like, I just can't see this Joker being any competition for any Batman we know. I just don't get it. And
which is kind of what I want to see. I want to see, how does he become that mastermind, and how does so I know what the discussion is right now. People are saying they think it's going to follow the storyline of the 3 Jokers. There's a comic book where there's 3 different ones, and I was thinking about this. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if? So we continue on with maybe the crazy thing. So we got these other 2 guys who are doing Jokers, and maybe these guys are actually more seasoned in crime. Maybe these people are a bit older, and they really take on to this. And so maybe he learns from some of these.
And then
what was that?
And then the third one is our actual Joker. Is that where
possibly?
You're
going? But I start thinking about it, and it's like, well, what if these 3 Jokers, you end up even questioning if there are 3 Jokers by the end of it? And what if this is also part of his own madness, that he's seeing these other versions of himself? And maybe even now this, I don't know if these would be too old. I was thinking, like, how great would it be if the other two Jokers are Mark Hamill and Jack Nicholson? But could be interesting. But so something within that of some type of mentorship thing, something of him learning more of the mastermind kind of things, actually getting involved with the criminal underbelly. Because this one, he had no grand plan. He was not someone wanting to. He didn't even want to destroy society. He had nothing. He just wanted to be heard and recognized.
That's true.
All that he wanted.
Where the Heath Ledger Joker, he just wants to cause chaos.
Yes.
What was the quote from Alfred?
Yeah.
Some men just want to see the world. What was it?
Burn.
Yes.
Yes. Which, and that describes that Joker in a nutshell. It really does. And then you got the Jack Nicholson Joker, who's more like the mob boss.
Mm-hmm.
So, we got three completely different. And then Jared Leto, I don't even know where the heck he falls. He who shall not be named. You don't talk about Jared Leto, and you don't talk about Batman and Robin. That's that's so true. But something else I thought would be interesting. So if they did a third film, I would be really interested to see this Joker do like a Mad Love with Harley Quinn. Oh, that could be interesting.
I think that would be very fascinating. But now I think he would have to definitely be past the mastermind phase, because part of that is that he's,
because there's a controlment element to his and Harley's relationship.
Yes.
And he is not there.
No.
Definitely not there.
Yeah.
But now here's the question. Who, if they do a sequel, who plays Batman in this? Do we get the Batman from what's his face, the emo Batman from the new one coming out? Robert Patterson? Do we get Robert Patterson as the Batman in this one, or
you would get a different one. You would get another person playing Batman.
I would almost get just somebody in a suit. Like, you wouldn't see Bruce Wayne. I think that because Batman would definitely be the villain. And I would think that you would do something more, maybe just kind of see him in the shadows and being more of a mythos than an actual person.
I don't know, because we already have Bruce established in Joker.
Sure,
he's there.
Sure, but he doesn't necessarily know that Bruce is Batman, though. We all know that.
Well,
I'm sorry, you guys. I don't even care about a sequel for this film. I'm like, whatever.
Well, it's coming. From what I understand, it's coming. They're going to do it. Like I said, this movie made too much money for them not to do a sequel. They're going to do it. And again, I walked out of the theater going, I don't know if I want a sequel on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would be, as much as I love the film, I would be okay with them just being done with it, just one and done.
And I'm not saying I wouldn't go see a sequel. Most likely I would, because I want to see what in the world they're going to do with this. But I just think it works fine as a standalone. I really do. But that's not the way Hollywood works.
Nope.
It made, I'm looking at it, box office was 1.074 billion.
Wow.
It was box office.
Dang. Oh my gosh. Holy crap.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, see, Hollywood looks at that and they go, nope. The numbers are too high. We can't not do a sequel.
Yeah.
That's right. See,
but it's just their thinking.
If you hit that mark worldwide. Oh, wait. Looks like we have no plans for a sequel. That the film was not set up for a second serving, that they had pitched it as one movie. I don't know what the date is on that article.
I've heard rumors that there was a sequel coming.
There's been a lot lately that I guess he's working on a script right now is what's
as of May 27th, 2021. All right. So just a couple of months. An article by Cinema Blend says apparently Joker 2 is further along than we thought.
Whoa.
So it was mentioned in a THR piece about Hollywood's top attorneys. It's mentioned that Joker co-writer director Todd Phillips signed a deal to co-write the next Joker installment. Outside of Joker 2 being mentioned as in development earlier this month, this is the biggest update we've gotten on the project in a long time. So it's still up in the air. These movies can, they can be in development phase for forever.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So,
but yeah, I would like to see more of the kind of sort of my Joker elements get in there. I would like to see something rewatching Jack Nicholson's Joker. One thing I really appreciated with him was that he had that sort of zany, he'd have the chattering teeth, or he blows up the TV with the big punching thing, like just sort of the pranking element,
when he pulls out the giant gun and shoots the Batwing with it.
yes I love that.
I do too.
I love that. We haven't had that since Nicholson and Hamill. I mean, that's something that's been completely lost with Joker, that I would love to see some of that back. And then also the philosophical element, because that's just something that Joker is so fascinating with, of just his take on reality, and that he's what's going on in there? Is he actually insane? Does he actually have a point? Does he just the way he toys with people is amazing. Like I love it.
So now, earlier when I think we discussed this before we started recording, though. You threw out that you think there's a possibility that the Joker isn't actually insane.
No.
And I'd like to hear more on that thought.
So a lot of existentialist philosophy is this whole idea. A lot of it's very atheistic. It's this idea that, there's no point to life. You live, you die, that's it. There's no meaning. There's no right or wrong. It's just here. And so most people respond to that with terror, rightfully terror of wait, so you mean you're trying to tell me that murder and eating a popsicle, if it's like, okay, well, am I going to eat a popsicle or I'm going to go murder somebody? Well, that's just a choice, whatever. That doesn't mean one thing or the other. It just is.
And I do see a Joker aspect to that.
Yes, because he just kind of goes with whatever. He just laughs at it. So that's one thing. So you hear the phrase, don't take life too seriously. None of us make it out in the end. And this whole thing of, look, why so serious? Life is just a joke. There's nothing to it. Let's just laugh it off. Let's just have a good time and let's enjoy. Because Joker, something I'll ask some of my atheist friends, I'll say, if there is nothing beyond this, if nothing matters, is it better to live your life as Joker or Batman? Because
you've thrown that out to me before.
Yeah, because Batman's pretty miserable most of the time. I mean, he's constantly beating himself into shape. He's constantly, he doesn't even enjoy any of that money he has. Man, Joker's living his best life now. Joker is
Joker really living his best life? Because we've seen with people who are outwardly happy and happy-go-lucky type things, and on the inside they're actually depressed. I mean, real life example. Let's look at Robin Williams. Robin Williams had everything, and and he was funny, and everyone loved Robin Williams.
Yes.
And then one day we hear, it's like, whoa, what the heck happened here?
And I think that is part of Joker as well. I mean, we even see within this movie, I mean, he's got a lot of depression, he's got a lot of issues, but the way that he deals with his issues is, I think in the moments he's enjoying himself. And I think that so one of the things as well, so Nietzsche, his idea of how to go beyond the meaninglessness of life is that you need to create meaning and recreate yourself. Create the best version of yourself that you possibly can. The Ubermensch, or actually the Superman is what the name was, which actually Superman was. So the Nazis actually took Nietzsche's ideas and perverted them and said, that's right, we're going to create ourselves. We're going to be the best. Our German heritage, we are the best. And so
the Aryan race.
Yes, and so the guys who made Superman, who were Jewish, said,
Right.
"Hey, we're going to twist your idea and make this is the actual Superman, not your Nazi Superman." But anyways,
Schumacher. It's Schumacher.
Jerry
Siegel and Joel Schumacher. They're
not Joel Schumacher. That's
I'm sorry, Jerry
director.
Siegel and gosh,
I know I'm blanking too.
I should know their names too. I really
I should.
Anyway, they one of their fathers was actually killed or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think he was shot, and one of the two of them came up with this idea of a Superman, who could withstand bullets because his father was killed by a bullet. And that was, from what I understood, that was the original idea behind Superman.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lot that goes into it.
Sure. I'm not saying that's the only idea.
Sure. Absolutely. But there is definitely a philosophy there within the Joker. There is certainly there's a, like he says this in Killing Joke a lot. He says the only thing that makes sense is to go crazy. Like this, there's actually this thought behind it of that. This is a way of being. This is a way of taking on life. I'm enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. But yeah, there is this question of, is he actually enjoying it? So one of the points I made in this paper that I wrote was how, so the author who did Killing Joke also did Watchmen. And in there you have the comedian who has a very similar take on life, who says, hey, this is all just a joke. But the comedian has a point where he breaks down and he's like, it's not funny anymore. I don't get the joke. I'm not laughing.
Right.
So because he has this humanity still, and that's really the reason why we're not Joker. We have a humanity. Even people, I know many atheists who are very kind and generous and all of these things, because this is part of the, what I see as the image of God that's still in
I
him.
agree.
And so they're still going to do that. But the Joker, he has sort of severed that part, and he has kind of gone beyond that. And he is now just purely enjoying the chaos, purely enjoying the mayhem and the insanity.
So what you're saying is he's completely gotten rid of his human side. There is no human side left of the Joker whatsoever. Because those,
that's what I think.
Okay, that makes sense.
He's gone beyond humanity. Now, here's a question to throw out real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure if I asked this or not. So you guys have both read Killing Joke, right?
Of course. Oh, you haven't?
Okay.
No.
Do you know the question at the end of that book that a lot of people debate?
Oh shoot, it's been a while. What was the question?
Okay.
I don't remember.
Does Batman kill Joker?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I know what you're not.
Yeah. So that's, because the whole thing, he's trying to like Batman saying like I feel like I'm on the edge. I feel like at some point one of us are going to kill the other, and I'm reaching out. I'm trying to have this last bit of seeing, is there any humanity there? Is there anything in there that can be saved? And, at the end, the Joker tells a story. He tells a joke. And the whole time, Joker's saying, why aren't you laughing at this? Why aren't you laughing at the insanity of life? Because that is a response. You look at like dark humor. Yeah. That is a response to tragedy, is to make jokes about it. My students.
Well, I wouldn't say that's just dark humor. Humor in itself, comedy in itself, is supposed to make fun of life.
Yeah.
And it's intended to make us a little uncomfortable at times, which is why we're having so much problems today, because you got to be so careful of what offends somebody that you can't. It's hard to tell a joke anymore, because well, this joke might offend this person, or this joke might offend this person, but technically that's what comedy's designed to do. It's designed to make you feel a little uncomfortable and maybe question the situation.
Yes. And sometimes like reversals. So like if you treat something very serious light, it's funny. If you treat something that's very meaningless as being very serious, it's also funny. So there's something in that of the reversals, which is also one of the things I love about Batman and Joker, of why they're such great foes. That you've got the dark, grimacing bat that uses fear. Oh, that's our hero. That's our good guy.
Right.
Then you've got this smiling clown who's laughing and having a good time. Oh, that's our villain.
That's our villain.
You know, I love that dynamic. That reversal there is great. But in the story of Killing Joke, you know, he says this thing of, oh, there's these two guys who are running from the loony bin. They're trying to get out. You know, one guy, he jumps out. He jumps over the fence. He makes it. And then he says, hey, come on. But you know, he's too scared. And so he says, okay, well, I have this idea. I'm going to turn on my flashlight and just walk on the beam of light. Just get on the beam of light, walk all over, you know, and you'll be safe. You can walk over here. And the guy says, what? No. Because once I'm halfway there, you'll just turn off the light on me. And, you know, which is obviously ludicrous, but he's the within the story, that's Batman and Joker.
Yeah.
Batman. So he's got his trauma. He's got his past. And as I said, we all try to deal with our trauma in different ways. Sometimes we deal with our trauma in ways that are healthy and productive. Sometimes we deal with it in ways that are harmful to ourselves or others. And so Batman, he gets out of it. He found a way to harness his pain. As for Joker, he's like, no, I'm done. I can't get out. And so throughout the whole thing, Joker's saying, hey, why aren't you laughing at all this? Why aren't you laughing at all the mayhem? You know, why? Basically saying, why so serious?
Right.
And then eventually at the end, Batman starts laughing.
Right.
So it's kind of him saying, you know what? You're right. It is kind of funny. And you're too far gone. And I'm not going to let it go anymore. And so the camera kind of, he grabs him and it kind of goes down and the laughter stops.
Right.
So it's like, it's this weird kind of Joker actually kind of wins at the end. And
I believe that was Alan Grant that wrote that. And yeah, and he meant that as for the reader to decide whether Batman actually killed him or not.
Yes. Which once again, on the reader to, you know, you got the
creating our own headcanon.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Well, now, and for me, it depends on
Alan Moore.
It depends on, well, not so much. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Alan Moore. Anyway, that kind of depends on whether you take the story as canon or not. Because if you take
that's true as well.
If you take the story as canon, which they've borrowed elements from this story before, you know, they've put Barbara Gordon in a wheelchair. So,
yes.
Because the Joker shoots Barbara Gordon and paralyzes her. They've had her in a wheelchair. In fact, they're getting ready to introduce her in a wheelchair in the Titans TV series.
Season 3. Mm-hmm.
Right. So if you take it as canon, the Batman doesn't kill the Joker. He can't because the Joker survives beyond there. Because after that, we have the Killing Joke, which the Joker murders Robin. So yeah.
But maybe Batman only killed one of the 3 Jokers.
Well, now,
which he's actually in the comic book. That Joker is one of the 3 Jokers in there.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right. He is.
Yeah.
He is. I haven't read that story, but I need to. I think I need to read that story.
Yeah,
okay.
I went through. They had like it's like an hour-long thing on YouTube. A guy was like kind of just retelling the story. So that's basically what I got. From it. But it was pretty good. I would recommend. I mean, I wouldn't mind actually reading it myself. It was pretty good.
Yep. A couple of quick fixes, real quick. Mike, the Superman was Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
Thank you.
There we go.
Thank you.
And all.
And it was
Watchmen author was Alan Moore. So
Alan
who's
Moore.
Killing Joke? So yes. Sorry, I had to get it. And I have to admit, I got distracted there for a little bit because Aaron, when you said Joker's living your best life now, my brain went to the book.
Yes.
And I thought, a great meme would be to put Joker's face on that cover.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great. We totally have to do that and put it on our pages and then reference. We got to listen to the podcast for the thing.
Yes.
This is a great way to put it, though. Joker is living your best life. I'm living my best life now. You know, but that's from I understand now that you explained the existential list point of view. And that's really insightful on your part, I have to admit, because when you're looking at his philosophy or that kind of philosophy behind you and undergirding how you view the world, that does have an impact. It does create a worldview in how you interact, and that makes sense. So that was great insight on your part. We're getting deep, man. I said we're getting deep.
And something else within it is the idea of sort of like intense individualism, because like there's some kind of a extremes, of individualism versus, collective and, everybody working as a group and things like that. And you've got to look kind of at both extremes. And what I see in this movie, particularly with the Joaquin Phoenix one, is how the community stopped taking care of each other. Right. They stopped caring about anybody. They lost community. And so in the same ways that the garbage men, well, they went on strike, they stopped their part of the community. And then, what happened? Well, super rats grew out. Things became worse. Things got out of hand. And in the same way, whenever people who were the least of these, those who were most struggling, all the funding got cut off, and people who rightfully made their money, like Thomas Wayne, he's not giving money to help with some of these needs or anything like that. I mean, he could definitely do a lot to help people. Whenever some of that has been lost, well, then you start getting these, extreme. It's kind of like, okay, this is the very dark side of individuality, of complete loss of care of somebody else. Because I mean, for Arthur's case, he's living a better life as Joker than he was as Arthur.
True.
He's enjoying it. And that's why there's this very weird disconnect watching it, because there's this one part of me that feels like I want to celebrate him and say, good for you, Arthur. You're coming into your own, you're happy. Look at him dance. Look at him dance down them stairs. That's wonderful. And and you kind of want him to hit back, it's like before, whenever the thugs,
when they take his sign and everything. And then when he gets accused of stealing the sign, I love that scene too. It's like, why would I want his sign?
Yes. It's like, you want him to stand up for himself. You want him to push back.
Yeah.
But then he pushes back all the way. I mean, it's kind of like the stockbrokers. He kills the one out of, which could be justified as self-defense, but then he goes after him, and then it's like, oh, I enjoy this. Like, isn't just.
I think that's where the Joker really starts to come out in him.
Yes,
is at that moment once he's killed the stock guys.
It becomes a survival thing, because they're beating the crap out of him, and I think that was the switch. I have to survive.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well, I think with Joker, he went beyond. So first it was the switch, I have to survive. And then it does get into the, oh, this is great. This is because, normally someone, normal human instinct, you kill somebody and it's like, okay, I've got to get my mind around this. I have to, I took a human life. There's a lot of therapy and PTSD most people go to. No, this guy starts pretending he's playing the violin. He loved it. He loved it. And and he just embraces it.
And then that's when he murders the other guy who was one of the clowns with him. Because the two of them come to his apartment.
Ooh, that was gritty.
That was brutal. That was brutal.
Here's what made that gritty for me was the actor who was the
little guy or the
little guy, and he was screaming, Arthur, why would you do that? Oh my God. Yeah. He acted that really well.
I thought he was going to kill him too. I really did. Because he had locked the door. Well, I
thought he would.
Yeah, I really thought he would, because he locks the door, and then of course he's not tall enough to unlock it.
Yeah.
And it was at that point I was like, oh crap, he's going to kill him too. And then he lets him go. He just lets him go.
You still get that mild bit of still kind of maybe cheering the Joker on, because it's like, hey, you were nice to me, right? I'm going to repay that. So it still keeps some of that sympathy there.
Well, I think at that point, the Joker hasn't totally lost his humanity at that point, because if he was the Joker that we know that we've
Yes.
all
he wouldn't
read.
let him live.
He wouldn't have let him live. There's no way. And because there's no humanity, like you said, left in the Joker at that point. So yeah, I think at this point we are seeing a slight bit of humanity left inside of him, inside of Arthur.
I do want to also say, so I've done a couple times. I've attempted stand up, and each time I got progressively worse. The first time it actually did pretty well. They actually took one of my jokes like verbatim on the movie. Whenever he says, tells the little guy, "Oh, do you guys call it miniature golf? Do you just call it golf?" Like that was verbatim one of my jokes on there.
I love that joke. I thought that joke was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Dang it, man! I can't use that one anymore.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah. Well, any last thoughts? Because we're running over our hour, which has been great. Aaron, thanks for joining us. Any other last thoughts? Final wisps of wisdom and insight from our discussion in the Joker film. Mike?
I thought, again, I'm going to say that I think this film is a fantastic film. Hashtag not my Joker, though. And I will stick with a 4.5 on the film, just as a film itself. Because, like I said, if you pulled the makeup off and you pulled the title off, I still think it would be a great movie. I really do. Now, it's a super, super dark film, but I think it's dark because it's a commentary on life, on humanity, and then of course delving into the Joker's issues. So, I stick with my 4.5 on it.
Okay, Aaron, any last thoughts?
Oh, last thoughts. I guess
inspirational quotes.
yeah. I guess I would just say Batman and Joker is within all of us. That's there. I mean, we watch Three Stooges and laugh at people getting hurt, and Jackass and all of these things. I mean, we love Grand Theft Auto. We love chaos. We love all, there's an element of that is there. And I think that's why we sympathize with the Joker and we cheer him on so much. It's because he's just that pure, unbuckled id, just complete going haywire. But yet you also have that.
Stop making me look in a mirror.
Go
ahead, keep going, man.
No, you're good. But then there's also that part of us, that can harness our pain, can harness the hardships, that can embrace hardship. I mean, Batman takes it on more. He trains himself, he disciplines himself for something good, for something positive. And I think at the end of the day, even though in many ways Batman's road is more difficult, I think there is actually some fulfillment there. I think that he has a family, he has people that care about him. He has, the world is a better place with Batman in it. So, learn how to harness that side of it, learn how to be the better, to take on the Batman side, even though it's fun for entertainment and it's fun for discussion and everything. It's like, and the thing I love about Batman, he does stand up for himself. He's not a pushover. He's not Arthur, who's just getting bullied by life. Don't let yourself get bullied, but definitely try to do some good in the world.
Yeah. Good. Great insights, you guys. Again, I'm not a gritty movie guy. I don't, it's not my film, but I have to admit and confess that it is a brilliant film in its own right for what it set out to do. It was interesting. Am I going to watch it a second time? Nope. I'm not going back to check those clocks, by golly. No. That was interesting though. Aaron, gosh, thanks for being here with us. You brought some incredible insight.
Oh, anytime.
And some great viewpoints. I really appreciated the discussion with you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, absolutely. Been looking forward to it. It's a good time. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got to wrap up because wow, we've done well. We'll have to continue. Aaron, we'll have you back with some other good philosophical stuff and
anytime
discussions and all that. So, Mike, it's now to you, my friend.
All right. Well, Aaron, thanks for being here today. We really appreciated it. Like Steven says, it's a great discussion, and we may have to do some more Joker stuff in the future. I mean, there's so many ways we could go with the Joker.
Yeah.
So we'll have to have you back on for that.
Maybe just watch Dark Knight and talk about all that goodness.
Oh, I'm all up for Dark Knight discussion. Oh yeah. All right. So with that said, I'm going to end it with a little Joker. Why so serious? Thank you for joining us today on the Two Geeks and a Microphone podcast. Tune in next week when we will have more news and reviews. Until then,
may the Force be with you.